We have a really incredible film on a hospital system that set up a mobile food pantry during the pandemic on a bus. And the film's team, their background, both of them have journalist backgrounds and have traveled the world doing documentaries. And so they have that mindset of going in and really finding a compelling story and making sure like every one of these films makes me cry every time. And it reminds you that there are incredible humans out there that are supporting each other. It's just that like really hit people in the feels is just such an authentic form of marketing.
Hello everyone, this is Mario Peshev here, and this is the B2B Growth Hacking Playbook. I'm really pleased to be here with Aly Wheeler. Hi Aly.
Hey.
Hey, I know that I'm kind of catching you off guard, but this is just something that we do here on the show, trying to be as less scripted as possible. But I'm really pleased to kind of share the stage with you one way or another. For everyone who hasn't met Aly so far, Aly Wheeler, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Findhelp. For the past 5 years, she has been spearheading all sorts of marketing, product marketing, growth hacking efforts. Having worked with Aly for a while myself, I've been really impressed by her command of, being an incredible individual contributor and the team manager as well. Really savvy, really experienced in the broader field of marketing. Definitely not a theoretical manager, but someone who's diving into the weeds. So really happy to have you here on the show.
Thanks, Mario. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, PR is not my forte, but I'm always happy to chat with other intelligent professionals in the field. Let's put it this way. What I want to kind of discuss here today is essentially scaling social impact through tech and Findhelp's mission in delivering excellence in kind of that field of work. Primarily how Findhelp built a B2B ecosystem for community care, kind of how you rolled with the punches one way or another, how you integrated technology, something that's often considered enterprise or boring per se, into something that's so impactful and really changing people's lives one person at a time. And I want to dive into that topic particularly with a few questions. So I'm going to get it started here. So first and foremost, what are some of the businesses and tech principles that help Findhelp from an idea into a scalable platform that serves communities at a national level?
One of our core principles here at Findhelp is keeping the seeker at the center of everything we do. And when we would talk about a seeker, we're talking about people that are looking for resources or, need resources to cover their basic needs. And so at Findhelp, our mission is to connect all people and the programs that serve them with dignity and ease. And that is a very big, important caveat at the end, is having dignity in this process. And so keeping the seeker at the center of everything we do comes, the way we build the platform, the way we build features, the way we position this with our customers. We make sure that it is impacting them in a positive way at every turn. We also, one of our big principles is open access. So we have this open access network that anyone can self-serve. Essentially, they can. We work with customers who are working with their clients, but we also have our free and open access platform, findhelp.org, where anyone can go find resources for themselves. Giving them dignity in that process of finding and helping themselves.
I firmly believe that this is incredibly impactful. And once again, we are talking about in technology, we often face specific products existing just for the sake of it, not necessarily making a strong impact in the real world. And Findhelp is definitely not sitting in that cross section. So making the most out of creating a frictionless process is certainly something that I admire you and the team for doing, obviously. As a result of that, operating at the intersection of tech and social care could be pretty complex, and you know that yourself after 5 years in the space and really taking such an incredible role out there. So what I really want to know, and kind of one of also taking a look at my notes, is how does Findhelp maintain trust and compassion while still delivering measurable outcomes for partners and the communities?
One thing that I like to share when I tell people about where I work is that we didn't have a marketing team. We didn't do marketing at the first half of this company's existence. We really built our company on the network effect. So we focused heavily on empowering CBOs or community-based organizations, the ones delivering services, with free tools that can help them and getting them onboarded on the network with community engagement managers here that help stand them up. And that just built the network by, word of mouth, by trust, by them really like seeing that Findhelp, we're not coming in as another technology saying you have to use this. We're coming in as like, here's all the things we offer. We can be interoperable with you. We can work however you need, keep you guys doing the hard work, and just support where we can. And that really built the foundation for the network. And then same when we go out with customers, we are helping them build those community partnerships. So we have this network now that we've built trust with, and so we're now connecting customers with those relationships in the community so that they can build partnerships and build trust in their relationships, because they're the ones doing the work. I like to say that we are a social care company, but we're a social care tech company. We are not delivering the services, we are enabling them, and we're in like the information business of helping them get the information they need. So when we work with customers, we also help them build these relationships through in their community, whether it's focusing on a certain population or a certain region, so that they can have the best outcomes in their area.
And being a tech company supporting all of that makes all the sense in the world. And frankly, especially in businesses like that, access to communication or tech know-how is not something that people are supposed to be having in the first place, right? It's something that they need. They need a funnel, they need a communicator, they need a proxy, they need something to connect with, or a marketplace. In that case, the definition of Findhelp itself is the hub that they need to access, and this is kind of the best way, the best medium to cross collaborate with others in that particular ecosystem. And because there are lots of specific use cases that you're solving, one of the things that I'm really kind of want to hone in right now is, can you share a real world example where Findhelp's ecosystem made a measurable impact, something related, like a case study related for the community or a partner organization of yours?
I was looking last night when I saw these questions ahead of time. I was looking through some of our case studies, and we have a lot of great case studies with numbers. But a story that always stands out to me really speaks to this company as a whole and why I love working here. We have a social care fulfillment program called Findhelp Fulfillment. And this is essentially a social care marketplace where a customer can sign up for a specific good or service delivery to address a need. So that can be ordering Uber rides to get patients to appointments so that they don't keep missing appointments. That, through our system, we've set up an integration with Uber, so we can do that. We have food delivery services or prescription produce programs. But a really, really cool one is that we have a free car seats for new moms program that a hospital, I believe in Austin, uses, right? So they make sure every single mom goes home with a car seat so that they have, a safe way to transport their child. And that is all purchased through, the order goes through Findhelp. And then we actually have a staffer in Austin she's placing all those orders. She is making sure that they all happen. And I always get emotional because she's such a wonderful, incredible person. And there's been a time where she, the car seat wasn't going to get there in time and the person needed to leave the hospital. And she actually went out, she took the car seats over herself and delivered them just to make sure that that person is getting what they need to get home safely. So I think that story always sticks with me and speaks to this company and really the goals of truly keeping that seeker at the center of everything we do.
That's incredible. And once again, being directly connected to actual human beings who want to make an impact, want to leave something behind, and kind of help the broader community. That's something that's extremely incredible. And I really wish that more and more businesses may allocate a portion of their time and efforts and resources into giving back to the environment, if you want to put it this way, be it social care in that case, or the community, or growth, sustainability, clean tech, anything, just so that each and every one of us can make the world a better place, one step at a time.
That's a really cool part about working here. I always say, like, the work we're doing is one thing, but the people that work here are just incredible. Everyone is really connected to the mission and, cares deeply about the work we're doing.
I love it. And there's also a dog that agrees with you. One of the other things that I really want to touch on right here is, for those new to the term, that essentially you kind of brought up in our previous conversation, the closed loop referral. This is something that I've been seeing lately, but primarily something that you bring up more and more often in kind of ongoing conversations. So what is that closed loop referral that you're using internally? How does your system ensure the pros benefits all stakeholders? How does that impact individuals to service providers and payers? So let's dive right into this one, and we can expand for the audience as well.
Closed loop referral just means that our platform, we call it a closed loop referral platform. So this means that a hospital system is using Findhelp, whether it's integrated in their EHR or however they're using it, they can send a referral for a patient to a CBO. And the closing the loop is that CBO responding and saying that person got help. So it's proving outcomes. So the hospital can then say, like, this many people we referred out to, X, and it actually reduced our cost by, Y. So this ecosystem in general helps lower costs. It helps people report out on actual successes and efficacy, and can prove that helping people with basic needs and getting those covered can reduce healthcare costs overall.
Really interesting. And when it comes to interoperability, I know that this is a common challenge in both healthcare and tech as well. So how has Findhelp approached integrations with partners? What are some business lessons that you've learned in the process? Walk me through that part of the process.
This is one of our core principles is, interoperability. So much like anyone on any cell phone network can call each other, those are interoperable. That did not used to be the case. We are trying to do that with technology for all of our industries. So if a hospital system is like, yes, I really want to implement a social care program, but I don't want to have to train my staff on yet another tool and have them go to a separate place to, double document, we can integrate into their EHR. We integrate with CBO systems of record, right? Like I was saying at the beginning, if a CBO is already using their own intake methods and their own system of record, asking them to retrain on a new platform and implement that is very expensive, especially for a nonprofit that is already having funding issues. And so we take on those integrations to allow them to maintain whatever their status quo is, but still be able to use the platform. And it's a really important piece of what we believe in. And I think it is a good differentiator for us in the market too.
Interesting. Can you tell me how does that compare to the market? Let's say, how is that a competitive advantage compared to what you've seen in the market? Is it something that partners bring up as well? Just want to dive into this
Yeah,
one.
definitely. It is. It's one of our competitors, our main competitor. Definitely, that is a complaint we hear, and that is why people have switched to us. They'll go into a space and require that anyone in that local network, which is a closed off network, has to use the platform. So that means all the nonprofits have to use that platform. And what that does ultimately, it doesn't make them switch over. What that does is it reduces the number of people that are actually working in that network, which reduces the amount of support seekers get, right? Our open network and our requirement to be interoperable allows us to use all of those resources so that everyone can get help. And closing that off really narrows down the window of help.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot more sense, and appreciate the clarification as well. One of the other kind of broader topics that I really kind of want to touch on is, just leveraging data and KOAS, the class feedback. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, would be happy to kind of dive into that. So if you want to kind of run an explainer, particularly when it comes to customer validation, why is a game changer for health tech positioning, and let's just jump right into this one. I'm pretty sure that it's a topic that's kind of dear to your heart and something that you can explain better than anyone else.
Class is an independent evaluator for the healthcare space and for healthcare tech specifically. And so every year they actually opened a new category about, I think, 4 years ago for social care technology. And that is something that we have won every year. We've been the top vendor in that category for four years running, as long as that category has existed, and longer with before it was an official category. And that is just a space where they go out outside of us. They talk to our customers. They get quotes. They get they evaluate and like compile a score for us out of 100. And I believe we're at 89.2 or 89.3 right now out of 100. And it takes into account a bunch of different categories from, the actual software platform to the support that we give in the space. And so it's a really good tool, to have as like, hey, this was an evaluation done separate from us. We don't pay for this. And this is what they say. And we also take into account, we go every quarter, I think they collect more. And so we can see the comments in our portal and take that into account when we're making product updates or, working on new ways to run the platform.
So, can you compare that to, let's say, NPS or eNPS? Because it sounds like a scoring system. At the same time, it looks like there's, again, customer feedback coming back and forth. And like, who can vote here? Like, is it an independent organization? Is it individuals? Like, can I jump in and vote you like 1 to 100 for the class score? Just how does that ecosystem work here?
Yeah, it's specific. I don't actually know the full restrictions, but my understanding is it's specific Like you couldn't just go in as an independent person. It has to be like organizations that are in that space that, work with Findhelp. So they have that whole ecosystem set up and it's a little bit controlled. It's much more robust than say an NPS score because we're getting, there's many, many categories and then we're getting actual like open text field comments as well.
Oh, okay. Well, that's super helpful because we all know that there are lots of surveys and studies and systems that can be hacked one way or another. Having the open score is definitely helping to be more moderate and also more genuine and not something that you can hack as a test high school. So
Yeah, absolutely.
speaking of kind of different charts, one of the topics that I also wanted to touch on because we discussed class that for again anyone who doesn't know that it's KOAS, not as class in high school that I also mentioned, but I want to talk about the Findhelp's B Corp certification and not necessarily how you got to that or like the specific efforts that you're doing out there, but I'm really interested in aligning business success with purpose-led commitments. And I just I've been hitting events left and right this year. Honestly, probably been at 15 or so myself so far, but I met different companies including fast consumer brands and kind of water brands and kind of other companies that have been honing in on their B Corp certification as something that's incredibly valuable. And considering the fact that Findhelp is also certified, do you feel this carries enough kind of weight in that ecosystem? Like for anyone listening, because we have different listeners in the audience, some are CMOs, VPs of marketing, COOs, CEOs, CFOs, and people are also trying to figure out, okay, if we need to do some uplift of our brand right now, what are some of the steps that we can take? Are there specific certifications that we can take? What are the ones that are helpful in the ecosystem? What do people care about? Like, is it just a certificate that you tap on the wall, or is it something that brings more value? So let's jump into this one real quick, and don't have to like dive into how did you go through the certification start to end, but just how crucial it is to find help as well.
I will admit I'm not the best person to speak on this. One of my colleagues runs this recertification, but as far as our B Corp goes, we do. I think we recertify every 3 years, and there's a number of different categories. Good for the environment, good for the community, good for customers, and they evaluate based on. We fill out a questionnaire with a lot of specific questions. What I do think one, I think it does show people that, we are here for the social impact as well as the corporate impact. But to your point, there's a lot of different awards you can get and a lot of certificates. And what I think is actually even more valuable than our B Corp status is we are also a public benefit corporation classified. So what that means is that we actually can, like pull in the social good of what we're doing and that rises over maybe stakeholder opinion. We have investors, we do have a board, and if what they want to do and what we have like as the actual social impact and the social good are competing, we can actually use that to continue our mission.
That's very interesting, and because you mentioned kind of the journey and the team environment and everything else happening in Findhelp itself, I don't think we touched on the founding story and generally how did Findhelp come to life, and maybe we want to touch on Berta as kind of a broader organization, but personally, again, working with you and kind of the team, this has been something that I found insightful and inspiring. And would you like to also jump in and share some about that as well?
I'll share what our founder is comfortable with, our public founding story. It's definitely a personal story for him, but when he was working, I believe he was working for the state in Texas, his mom was diagnosed with a really rare brain disease, and he became her caretaker full time at like 27, pretty young to be an adult caretaker.
Yeah.
And he realized in trying to navigate for her how complicated the system is and how much of a mess it is trying to get the right resources and get connected. And as a fully capable working adult at 27, he was struggling with it. And he was like, I can't imagine if I'm an immigrant, if English is my second language, if, all of these other ifs, how much more difficult it is. And he also was working at as a developer for a call center during the 2008 financial crisis. And again, saw the massive influx of calls there. and how they couldn't keep up with it. And he was like, this is a solvable problem, right? Technology can be this information, this connector of all of these resources. And so in 2010, he launched the first iteration, which was, I think it was local to Texas. And he had all the resources he could compile listed. He coded it himself as a developer, and he launched findhelp.org. At the time, it was ampbertha.com, which cute little branding. Aunt Bertha picks up where Uncle Sam leaves off. So it was saying, like, you have all these government resources. They kind of dropped the ball. We might not know about them. Aunt Bertha picks up there. That's where Aunt Bertha came from. So he launched it in 2010 with this network, and I think got the first official customer in 2014, and have just been growing exponentially since then. It's the mission. The mission has stayed the same the entire time. The company has shifted a little bit over time as we try to understand the market and change with the way the industry is going, and COVID. Big things have happened in that time and changed our trajectory. Definitely for the better, but it's hard to predict because we're not just following a typical path in an industry. This is pioneering a new space and really trying to say, hey, we have a very broken system. We have a very broken social safety net. And how are we going to build a better version of that and power that into the future of where this can be?
This is a really touching story, first and foremost. And this is also something that I can not necessarily relate to you, but just scratching your own itch, solving a problem for yourself first and foremost, just stepping in the shoes of your, let's say, customers, partners, providers, it makes a world of a difference. I've been really impressed by founders who have walked the walk themselves. It's not a theoretical journey. It's not a VC-funded startup that they say, hey, this is AI. We are going to build an AI product because this is how we can get funding right now, because this is the most popular thing on the planet. Just as kind of what we saw with ICOs and raising, initial coin offerings or the NFT wave or any of that. There's a starking difference between trying to get some funding and figuring out what to do to get the money versus having a really painful problem, kind of human-driven problem, especially one that's really helping lives. Again, I could not stress that enough, right? It's one thing, making a microphone more durable so that, whatever you're recording on could be durable or not, could have a protector or not, a windshield or not. It's one thing, but like actually honing on core problems that people face in the social care space, or once again, sustainability, clean tech, water, and all that, to go through that journey yourself and just solve it. I think it's a lesson that needs to be kind of page one on every founder's playbook.
Yeah, I think it's really shaped. I mean, obviously, it's shaped the company. It's shaped the type of people we hire here. It's shaped the mission. It's shaped the whole platform. So I agree. I think a lot of our employees here also have an attachment to that mission that's personal too, and it really builds that community here and that culture at Findhelp.
Can you remember how many? What was the headcount like back when you started 5 years ago compared to now? Like how has that evolved over time, give or take?
I started in 2020, the height of the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
And there was a hiring pause, but then growing pretty rapidly because we realized that like people needed these resources even more. I believe we were just over 100 when I started, and we're hovering around 230 right now. But I would say with 6 months or a year before I started, the company was at 40. So I know that I was in that that initial
Growth curve.
curve up.
One of the things that you mentioned earlier, and actually my last question is going to be on scaling operations and tech. So that's something that I also want to touch on. But with regards to you mentioned that the mission has changed over the past decade, obviously, and more. So it has evolved from something back when it started, and obviously with all that headcount, moving from 40 to what you are right now, this inevitably leads to new challenges and kind of new obstacles to solve and new ways to solve, specific ways to kind of operate. Additionally, kind of what we see also on the agency side here at Everix is the evolutional shift that we've been observing over the past 15 years. And we actually just turned 15 a week ago or so. Yeah, thank you. And just if I have to reflect on back when we started, the internet was still in its infancy. not the early 90s, but still most people didn't have a smartphone with 4G. First off, 4G wasn't really a thing. Second, yeah, internet connectivity was tough. Most people didn't have smartphones. They still had the Motorola flip phones and things like that. Laptops weren't as popular. Most people were still rocking desktop PCs, and all of that transition kind of led to the new generations that we're facing. Right? They consume information differently. They watch shorts and reels. They need to be educated in different ways. They no longer read these long articles or essays that we used to read at their age. Let's put it this way. So just 5 years ago, obviously, as teenagers. uh, but uh, but that transformation has been changing a lot. Through communicating through social networks or SEO organically now moving to AI search, or again, inbound marketing systems that are moving to account-based marketing, to so many other different transitions that we've been facing, and I know for a fact that you've been facing as well over the past few years, just as most businesses out there are handling that. So I'm curious. Once again, we talk about the mission, kind of the founder story, and what I'm interested to hear is, transforming the mission into a scalable product strategy. What I'm curious is, what's your take on some tips on maintaining values while scaling the operations and tech during that long ongoing transition in that forever shifting digital landscape?
And something we're still figuring out as we go, right? Things are changing very quickly, as you said. Um, I think that one of the biggest things we've noticed this year, when I started working with Devrix, we were really just starting to ramp up marketing for the first time. And we were taking our very old website that looked a little more, it had, nonprofit vibes. It had, it was very focused on the mission and all of that, which is very important. But what we really needed to do was transform into more of a B2B platform. Like, we are a B2B platform for you, and we need to sell the technology instead of just the people here, which also has done well over the last, 10 years. And so in that transition, creating this new beautiful website, thanks to you all, really just still maintaining that mission is really important, I think. And we are now positioning ourselves much more different in the industry as, software, compared to what we were before. But I think the thing we've learned is that we still really have to build that trust with people, because it is a big ask. We're not asking them to sign up for an app, or whatever, a very short, quick demo. We're asking them to implement a major social care program and really put this initiative into their work. And that is a really big ask. And so there is a lot of education that has to go into that on why this is important. There's a lot of, we need case studies in there for people to understand the value. We still have to build that trust over time. We're not just suddenly just converting to demos. We are really still having to build that relationship before people are ready to commit to that, since it is such a big, we're selling enterprise software. It's a very big commitment. And it's also not just selling software. We're selling a program that they need to stand up, that they need to fund, they need to set up a governance structure and have people staffed on it. So we're really having to make sure that we're telling that whole story in all of our marketing to get people through the funnel to even want to have a demo, because it's a big ask. And so our marketing has really been focused around a lot of storytelling. We have an incredible films team on staff who goes out and makes documentary shorts about the successes that our customers have and that CBOs have in the community. And I think that's a really powerful marketing tool to show people, like, real humans using this technology are doing X, Y, and Z. I don't know if that's advice, but that's our findings over the last year, is really still maintaining that thread of trust and building relationships through all of our marketing.
I think it's really crucial, and we definitely see that brand is everything that matters nowadays. And it's all about trust, especially in the era of AI, right? It's so easy to do deepfakes. We were just at another event on Thursday, I think, or so. And it was an AI event, but whenever you attend like that, you know that there are some AI conversations and know that. But at the same time, everyone, like maybe over 50% of the speakers, you need to use Opus for splitting videos. You need Vid.io to do this, you need this, and here's a deepfake avatar, and this is character AI to do a copy of yourself, and then you need an assistant to feed your own data, and then you need this, and you need that. And I'm always befuddled with stories like that, because the authenticity is not only important, but its lack of whatsoever. It's bots talking to other bots, and there's there's no future in bots talking to other bots, right? Um, and kind of this is the direction where everything else is going. And that that elasticity of starting with kind of manual labor, just typing everything by hand and no indexing, no search, versus trying to AI everything, it's definitely not moving in the right direction. So finding that trust factor in between, and also remembering that brand is going to last forever, no matter what, right?
Mhm.
No matter if we're doing manual work and like having people or like robots and like drones delivering different things, all of that's going to be tied to a brand that you trust with a story, just as the founder story that you shared. This is kind of what
Mhm.
remains in people's minds as actual human beings created that, and someone supported that mission, that vision, and they kind of followed through. And this is why we have that, and this is how they moved from 40 to 100 to 200 and more, and is going to kind of keep growing afterwards. And I also want to dive in. You mentioned the videographers and the story. So in terms of brand and marketing, let's also touch on this one. How do you see that perception working out? Like, what's your own closed loop internally based on the marketing practice of let's create videos, let's make sure that the storytelling is also tied to our audience and
Mhm.
playing to all sorts of generations, people we need and people who are going to help people in need, and also something that resembles the process that the b2bs that you're selling to also want to follow through and kind of connect with you and also relate to you.
I think one thing that we do with the stories team or the films team is really try to focus on customers that are doing incredible work, right? This isn't a paid service where someone can say, hey, come make a video about me. This isn't, just finding, random CBOs. We're really trying to find the CBOs and the customers who are doing really, really cool things and unique things in their community so that we can tell that story. So, whether that is a university that set up a student basic needs office and they're using Findhelp and we want to, highlight that for the education space, or a nonprofit that is using our software to understand capacity for their food bank or whatever it is, to a hospital system. We have a really incredible film on a hospital system that set up a mobile food pantry during the pandemic on a bus. So there's just the customers that are really going above and beyond and are pioneering new ways to get people the support they need are the ones that we seek out. And the films team, their background, both of them have journalist backgrounds and have traveled the world doing documentaries. And so they have that mindset of going in and really finding a compelling story and making sure like every one of these films makes me cry every time. They're so good. And it reminds you that there are incredible humans out there that are supporting each other, and really doing awesome work in their communities. So I think just that, yeah, back to your point of like how you're building trust, just that like really hit people in the feels. Like there are incredible humans out here. Is just such an authentic form of marketing. It feels almost like cheating. Like it's so good. They make marketing gold for us. And it really like we can start customer calls with them. We can play them on webinars. We can send them out just to show people like, hey, the work you're doing is hard every day. It's hard, it's tiring, and sometimes you get in the weeds and forget what the bigger impact is. And so those stories kind of celebrate the people doing that work.
Wow, that just gave me the goosebumps, and honestly, really appreciate the
How do I
story. And
get
what's
teary again?
I can't blame you for that. That's only natural. I'm speechless, but if you just trying to get back on topic, but if you have to, and again, you're in a senior product marketing manager position, and lots of B2B organizations are now reshaping what is B2B marketing going to look like.
Mhm.
And going through the transformation over the past couple of years, it's been hard for many. They have been layoffs. There's been the return to office. There's been lots of other components that have been adding up here. Again, the uncertainty from AI and all of that. So, based on what you see across the board and kind of your feeling on the, let's say, the global economy, or kind of what you see in the broader marketing space, what would be your take or kind of a piece of advice for other people in senior management position, product marketing or marketing VP roles, and executives also for kind of what's coming next over the next 12 months, and just giving them a piece of hope and trust that everything is going to move in the right direction as long as we kind of stay together here.
I think to your point with the AI, maybe this is just my opinion, but I think remembering to keep the human element in things. So we all use AI to generate content and help us, get stuff out the door quicker, and it's an amazing tool for efficiency. And I think balancing that with the human piece, not forgetting, I've talked with one of my colleagues about like, am I going to forget how to copyright? No. I'll be fine. We're going to still continue to take this as like a starting point and work from there. And I think finding the balance of using AI and still keeping that human piece to keep that trust, to have people, there's so many ads now we get out there of all the influencers and all the people that are like, selling everything constantly, that it's starting to overwhelm and starting, for me at least, to be like, it's not as authentic anymore. And so figuring out how to balance that and keep the authenticity, I think, is going to be really important.
I'm with you here. That's definitely the takeaway that we're kind of coming up with, especially over the past year. And I would love to just wrap up the show with kind of this key takeaway. And before we go for it, everyone else listening who's not in a senior management role but still wants to figure out how the economy is moving, if people are preparing for role transitions or kind of moving into kind of new evolutionary roles over the next 6 months, let's say up until the end of the year or so, what would be your humane piece of advice? Something on the social side, just to make everyone kind of a better person one piece at a time. How would you say that people should get involved in one thing, and turning back to their New Year resolutions, they can come back and say, well, this is something that they hadn't planned last January, but this is something that I definitely love doing and kind of made me a better person and made the world a better place?
Are you asking in the workspace or outside of work?
Outside of work, just contributing as a
Okay.
human being, as an individual, to like just a social well-beingness.
One of the things that I was raised on and like totally live by is never stop learning. My dad always said, never stop learning. And I think that can apply in so many ways, like continuing to push yourself, whether it's in work, whether it's outside of work, to have new experiences, meet new people, talk to people outside of your bubble, continue learning, whatever that is. Maybe it's volunteering, maybe it's picking up a new hobby. It doesn't matter. I think that's never going to make you a worse person, right? That's how we become interesting people. That's how we meet new people. That's how we understand other people's experiences and connect to each other. So I think that would be my takeaway or my piece of advice. What do you have? What are you picking up?
Our first core value is this one.
No, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, well, I couldn't help but just put it in. So yes, and
That's incredible. It's
yeah,
great. It
for
works for work. It works for your personal life. It works for relationships. I think it's so important. Um, and I think for me, for work, I love embracing new things. This is my fourth role here. I've been pushed into new areas where I didn't have experience, and that could be met with resistance. And I find it opposite. I get really excited about it. I'm like, let's try a new thing. Let's push ourselves. Let's keep learning, so we can see what we can do.
incredible. I'll end it on this note, and thank you, Ali, for coming over. It was really invaluable. I love making sure that we touch tech and marketing and B2B to actual social impact and social care, and kind of giving back to the humankind. That's extremely important to me. The more I come of age, I want to make sure I leave some legacy that's kind of meaningful and not just crunching numbers and kind of data points. So how can people learn more about Findhelp and get a chance to contribute or partner up with you?
Our website is company.findhelp.com, and that is a great place to go understand, our different solutions for different industries. But if you really want to see the mission and, get the feels like we were talking about, if you head to our YouTube channel, that has a ton of incredible films. We have an impact and action series, which are shorts that just show how a customer is using Findhelp. We have some culture stuff from Findhelp. I'm going to plug our latest culture video. It's through the eyes of a dog, that one of our office dogs, and it might be the cutest thing we've produced ever. So head over to YouTube, I would say, and check out those videos, because there's a lot of great content there.
Excellent. And next time, make sure that your dog is actually in the shot out here, because it's definitely
Will,
making for a better. Yeah.
will
Uh,
do.
Wonderful. Well, thanks again for your time, and everyone listening. If you like the show, if you have any follow up questions for Ali, please leave them in the comments. I'm going to make sure I'm going to convey back to Aly and the Findhelp team so that you can get all the support that you can, partnerships or opportunities or just some questions or how you can help, how you can contribute or apply for a job or anything related to that. So thanks again for listening. Share the episode with other executives as well, making sure that they also put a little bit of kind of an extra 1%, just making the world a better place, be it through contributing, donations, supporting local communities and charities, so that we can get a better day and once again just live in a better world one step at a time. Thanks, Aly, once again for your time. Thanks everyone for listening, and see you in the next episode.
Thank you.